Good afternoon. Give me a second while I welcome our Spanish-speaking neighbors. Buenas tardes. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy. Para ustedes que quieren acceso al programa en español, por favor, marquen el número que aparece en la pantalla, cuál es 646-749-3122. Cuando le contestan su llamada, compartan el código que también aparece en la pantalla, que es 779-328-221. Y también vamos a estar compartiendo esos números y código en los comentarios. Well, folks, it's election day for our spring election. I am Tammy Rivera, the executive director and lead organizer here at SOC, and I'm stepping in for Carmen Ortiz, who is covering the Just Economy Conference for us in Washington, D.C., but she did all the prep work, and we're really grateful for her coming on board. She is our new legal and program director. And I want to make sure you understand the entire team that comes together to make this happen. So shout out to Stacy, who is doing an excellent job at production, and shout out to Vanessa doing comments, and Jeanette, who prepped all our youth and helped so much with the videos. And thank you to Tony for covering all the background pieces, taking care of the staff and the team. Thank you to Mario, our communications coordinator, for getting the word out and locking in interpretation for today. And let me see, and did I miss anyone? Let me know, team, if I did, so we can do all the shout outs. And to our youth, you're going to see their presence throughout the Vote-a-thon today. And tune in at 6 because they're taking over and doing the youth edition of the Vote-a-thon. And we're so proud and excited for them. All right, folks, let me give you a sense of some things that are coming up. We are live on Facebook after this event concludes here. This will be uploaded to our YouTube channel and our Facebook for later reference, and you'll be able to access them in English, or we have a dubbed over version in Spanish as well. And please pay attention. At the end of the Vote-a-thon, we want you to fill out a survey to let us know what's working for you on these Vote-a-thons. But wait till the end of the forum or before you have to leave. And what we could do better. And as soon as we get 10 surveys, and that'll give us the green light to pull a door prize, and you can be entered for a $25 cash gift card. So good deal. It doesn't take, honest to goodness, not more than 5 minutes of your time. We can see that there are people with us, but we can't see who you are. So please give us a shout out in the comments. Just say, hey, let us know if you voted early or if you voted today. If you voted today, if you would share what number voter you were, if you can remember that, that would be really appreciated. This spring election, we added a campaign. The staff came up with a Why We Vote campaign. So you're going to see several people sharing why they vote. Our staff, some neighbors, the youth, some collaborators. And so we hope you get inspired by their participation. And so the other piece I want to make sure you all know is how to use sort of the centralized website for voting. So if you don't know where to vote or what IDs or who's on the ballot, I want to take you through that right now. So I'm going to try to share my screen, and now it disappeared. So let me get that ready and queued up for you. I had it there earlier. Now it wasn't there. So, it's giving me some problems. We're doing this together, folks. We are not like a news media outlet. We are your fellow neighbors trying to make this happen for you. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. And then the staff can let me know when they see my Vote Wisconsin website on, so I know that you can see it, because I can only see what I'm presenting. And so if I could get confirmation from the staff that that's happening. We have an internal text that we all share that helps us do that background. Okay, we're good. All right, I wanna make sure you feel comfortable at least knowing what this looks like and what your options are. So here are several different things you can do. You can get your voter information. You can get your polling place. What is your polling place? The place where you vote. What's on the ballot, what you're going to see when you vote. You can update your name and address. You can register to vote. You can vote absentee by mail. Today's too late to do that. But for the future, you can track your ballot, but you can vote today absentee. If you have the absentee form, you can submit it, but you have to drive down and submit it to acceptable places. So let's go take a look at some of these tabs. So if you go to the first one, my voting. Now, I'm not going to do a sample here because it requires personal information that we're not going to be sharing. But if you go here, you can see the elections that you voted in. Now, it's going to tell you what election you voted in, but it's not going to tell you how you voted. And then you can check your registration information and any of the options I talked about earlier in these tabs, you can see. So let's move on to the next place. You can find your polling place, or again, where you have to go vote. So I'm going to put in SOC's office address, 1300 South Layton Boulevard. And we're in Milwaukee. And we're in the 53215. Extra little shout out for those of you who live in the 53215 area like I do. So if I put SOC's office here, it shows where I would vote if I lived here at SOC, which is Durfler School on 30th and Scott. And to remind you all, voting is from 7 a.m. today to 8 p.m. And it shows me what ward I would be in. Don't worry about memorizing that. Once you walk through the door, people will get you to the right table. So no worries about that. And then if we were to go up here and say what's on my ballot, it would show you what's on my ballot. So for instance, for SOC, this is what would be on my ballot. And so this is the presidential primary. So you see here, what are your options for the Democratic ticket, who you want to be representing you. And there's an option. You can only vote in one of these lines. So you can't like pick up person and pick uninstructed delegation. And you can't pick a candidate and a write-in. So you have to make one choice. And the same for the Republican Party, you'll have to make one choice. And then there are tons of judgeships up. And so we have District 1, the Court of Appeals, and then we have some circuit court judges. So we have Bench 8, 14, 17, 18, 20, 23, 24, 28, 38, 39, 43, 46. So several judges, and you want to vote on them because they represent our whole area. And then we have our county executive position that you'll be voting on. And you'll have our county comptroller. And let me give you a heads up that we have the county comptroller, and you'll see in a little bit the city comptroller. So there are two different races for two different comptroller, one for the county and one for the city. And then we have a couple of local elections you want to pay attention to. So we have county supervisor for District 12. Of course, you'll also note that we have our city mayor mayoral race happening. So you want to vote for a mayor, a city treasurer. And then here again, I was reminding you, there's two comptrollers, the county and the city. And here's the city one. We have our city attorney election, and we have our aldermanic District 8 election. And then stay tuned during this time, because there are a couple of referendums, and the two state referendums in particular are cumbersome language, not easy to read. So I challenge our state legislators to do a better job, and officials in all the technical people, to do a better job of making these questions more accessible and simpler. I think we owe that. No, I know we owe that to our neighbors in our community. But because they're complicated, we have a segment a little later to help try to explain them, so that you can make the best informed decision that you can. And then there's a Milwaukee Public School revenue referendum. And so this is what we can anticipate on our ballot if we lived here at SOC. Of course, some of you will have different things on your ballots because you're in different districts. We saw what's on our ballot. Again, if you want to update your name or address, you first have to sign in, and that's personal information I can't do right now. If you want to register to vote, you have to put that information, and it'll help you understand how you can do that if you didn't vote on time. And then where you can vote absentee, or where's your ballot if you already submitted it. So we just want you to know 24/7 access to information for voting, and it's in English and in Spanish. And so this is a great place for you. And Stacy's asking me for a question, and I can't type and talk at the same time, so I'm just going to let you in on some of the backdrop conversation. Yes, I'll be introducing the next video. So I'm going to stop sharing, and then we're going to come back here. And I'll be doing a couple of intros to some pre-recorded messages that we have. We used to have a lot of difficulty with guests going live because of the technology. So we got a little wiser as we go in the show, and we've pre-recorded some videos. So you're going to see me with different hair and different outfits. This Vote-a-thon, you won't see me with a different hair color, but you'll see me differently. And that's why, because we pre-recorded them to avoid having any technical difficulties. We also are doing something new this election. We have a Why We Vote campaign, and you're going to see a variety of folks sharing why they vote. And I hope you're inspired by that. The reason I like to share, there's tons of reasons, but the reason that I bring up that I think is super important is, for instance, my grandmothers were alive when they couldn't vote because they were women of color. And I want to remind people, if you're disenfranchised or discouraged, or you lost hope in the system, I hope this reason lights the fire in your gut to go vote, which is literally people died in order for women to vote, and people of color to vote. And even when that legally was pushed through, people were attacked, died, and suffered and were beaten because they voted, or to prevent other people from voting. So if for no other reason, to be present, show yourself for the people who came before us to ensure that we could vote. And then now what I'd like to do is we're going to see the first Why We Vote videos. And then after that, we have Jonathan Zuniga from the City of Milwaukee Election Committee sharing some really important information for us. And then we'll have another Why We Vote commercial, and I'll be back with you.
I'm Vanessa Chavez. I'm a community organizing intern, and I think it's important to vote because the people have the opportunity to elect government officials to ensure that our values are at the forefront of American policy, as well as creating a brighter future for future generations. My mom could not vote for a really long time, so now that she can vote, she tries to make sure that she gets to the polls whenever she can, and I try to do the same for the people who can't vote.
Hi, my name is Stacy Carlos, and I'm an organizer here at Southside Organizing Center. And the reason that I vote is because many in the past couldn't vote and still at this present time can't vote. So I want to take advantage that I have the right to vote and that I can vote and I should vote. And also, if I don't vote, someone else will vote for me, possibly on something that I don't agree on. So that's why I vote.
Well, hello, my name is Tony, and I think it's important to vote because it gives you a voice in deciding where your tax dollars go. Every day we look at our city and we think of better ways to spend our money, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's public services, what have you. So by voting, we have more of a say in where our money goes.
Hi, mi nombre es Wilma, y yo pienso que es importante votar porque si queremos ser escuchados en la sociedad, en la política, debemos empezar por el voto.
Jonathan, what are some of the common things people get obstructed in voting on? Like, what are some of the complaints we've heard so that they understand the realm of their rights?
I think one of them, you mentioned it, is that after redistricting in last year, some of the polling place changed. So if you already voted in November, that's the same polling place. But if you haven't voted in the last year or so, and this is the first time you're going to vote, then go ahead and go to myvote.wi.gov and check your polling place before heading out your home, so that you can make sure that you're going to the correct polling site. So that's very common thing. Sometimes too, people say, "Oh, I don't have my photo ID. I lost it. I just went to the DMV and I have my paper, my receipt that they give me because I'm waiting for the actual car to come in the mail." Right? You can use that receipt as your photo ID. Okay, so go ahead and take that to your polling place, and you can use that as your photo ID. What else?
If they're in line by 8?
If you're in line by 8 p.m., your right is to vote. So chief inspectors, the poll workers at your sites, they know that whoever is in line by 8 p.m. gets to vote. Okay. At 8 p.m., they usually put a poll worker if there's a line, so that no one else gets in line after 8 p.m. Okay, so if you're there at 7:59 at 8 and you are trying to register, they're going to help you out and you're going to be able to vote, right? And again, if you have any issues, contact us, call us, because we want to know about it and address it immediately.
And let's walk people through that process in case they've not voted before. So they're going to get to a location. It'll have signs, voting here. You usually follow the arrows. You go to the place. And then what happens is take it from there. Jonathan.
Yep.
Talk about the people who are gonna be there, like the different players, and then what they need to do next.
Yeah. So we have poll workers, and they're called election inspectors, and then we have a supervisor who's called a chief inspector. So you're usually going to meet an election inspector who's a greeter or who's at the door welcoming you into the polling site. And then they're going to determine, okay, are you a registered voter or do you need to register today? So we have two different tables for those processes. So one is where you are already registered and we have the poll books, right? So you go to your ward and then they're gonna look you up. You have to say, hey, my name is Jonathan Zuniga. They look up you in the poll book, and then they're gonna ask you for their address, and you say your address, right? And then you're gonna go ahead and sign the poll book. Okay. So then after you sign, the election inspectors will give you a ballot and a voter number for you. Okay. So then that's your cue to go and get that ballot and voter number and go to the voting booth, make your selections, and then put that ballot inside the voting machine. Okay. And then once you get the voter number, you can let us, you can comment on SOC's right here page and tell us your voter number, right, Tammy?
Yeah, thank you.
And then
And use the hashtag the Southside votes.
there you go. So make sure you let everyone know that today is voting day. Then, but let's say that you get there and then you need to register. So then they're gonna take you to another table where you're gonna they're gonna ask you a couple questions. They're just gonna make sure you're at the correct polling place because you have to register at your designated polling place, and they're gonna make sure that you have photo ID and proof of residence, which we just talked about a moment ago. So then once they verify that you have that, then they're gonna ask you to complete a application, a voter registration application. We have them in Spanish and English, and then you complete that. The election inspector will review it, make sure you completed everything and that it's legibly, and then they're going to go ahead and sign the bottom part of that application. Once they do that, then they're going to give you a ballot, the voter number, and then you're going to go ahead and make your selection and vote.
Great. Lots of information, folks, to help you vote. We encourage you to do that. We thank you, Jonathan, again for being with us and helping all our community understand what's happening.
Hi, it's Jeanette, the youth coordinator here at SOC, and I feel it is important to vote because so many people before us fought for our right to vote. So we need to use our voice to be the change that we want to see in our community. And that starts with us using our right to vote. Your vote, your voice, that's all that matters. Let's get out and vote.
Hi, my name is Alexis and I'm a youth organizer. Even though I can't vote yet, it gives us a voice for our future, period.
Hi, my name is Isabel. I am a youth organizer here at SOC, and although I can't vote, voting is important to me because it gives people an opportunity to use their opinions to create change.
Hi, my name is Jade, and I think it's important for grown-ups to vote because it'll help in the community and it'll help all around the world.
Thank you to the youth team who did an incredible job as always. We ended Jonathan's video a little short, but again, I appreciate all the team, all the work that they do, and I appreciate that we're making this available to you at a very community intro level, and I hope that encourages you to do broadcast as well. All right, folks, let's move into the next video presentation. We don't want to forget the continued implications from the census. We all participated, and some of us didn't, and some of us couldn't in 2020. And then there's still things happening as a result of the census for you to take in, reflect on, and we want to keep it in front of you every year, not just every 10 years. And one of those implications is the populations that are counted are used for a couple of things. One of them is to determine populations in areas and see if there are any adjustments needed in any of the maps for voting. You know, the school board has maps, the city has maps, the county has maps, the states have maps. And so that is one of the implications from the census. The number of population that is counted makes changes. And also in representation, those districts have elected officials. Those elected officials can go up in number or down depending on the population. That's super important. And then finally, a budget implication. So how federal and other funds are allocated is based on many times based on population. And so all of that is important. And we have with us today in two ways. She is today covering live interpretation for us. So we're really grateful for that. But she also works for the Fair Maps Coalition and is going to give us an introduction to the final redistricting map. So help me in welcoming Yuseli Flores Villarreal.
Hi, today we have Yuseli Flores from the Fair Maps Coalition. She's the co-director of the Fair Maps Coalition under the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Yuselis was with us for the primary, so I asked Yuselis to come back and give us a more detailed explanation of what the Fair Maps are doing and how is it the new redistricting affecting our elections. Thank you for coming back, Yuselis. How are you?
Thank you for the invitation, Carmen. I'm really excited to be here and just really excited to provide some really important information for the voters of Wisconsin.
And we have talked about this, and what I would like to accomplish is how to explain what the redistricting means and how is it going to affect our voters. And what does this mean to the voters?
Yeah, of course. So I know SOC has done great work making sure people filled out the census for 2020. So that's where some of the redistricting process starts. After every single person fills out the census, then those numbers are counted and new voting district maps are drawn based on population that has either changed or grown or decreased over the state of Wisconsin. And for just some political context, the last time that we had an opportunity to redistrict was in 2010. And this happened behind closed doors. This happened behind public eye. They didn't allow people across the field to see the maps. And when I'm talking about people across the field is, the Democrats couldn't get to see the maps until they were already enacted and in place. So for the last 14 years, Wisconsin has been living under a gerrymandered map. Gerrymander goes back to the 1800s where Elbridge Gerry cut up a map in Massachusetts and it looked like a salamander. And the comedian who was a comic for the New York Times called it the gerrymander after Elbridge Gerry. And so ever since, the tell of time for the United States, this has been a constant battle for both Republican and Democratic parties. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. They attempt to gerrymander to attempt to control as much as they can. But, no matter where we live, the color of our skin or our political affiliation, who we work, how we worship or who we love, in Wisconsin, we believe that our votes have to matter and that our votes should be counted and equal representation should be what is happening. So these new voting districts and these new voting district maps are finally going to give Wisconsin voters an opportunity this fall to elect a more representative and balanced state legislature for the first time in more than a decade. Like I said, or like you said, actually, February 19th, the governor signed new, more fairer maps into law. These maps were seen before the Supreme Court, and they were also reviewed by two experts who helped in the New York case in 2022. And so they chose some of the maps that were the least gerrymandered, and one of those maps was the governor's maps. So although it's not the best map in the eye of a lot of people, it's a fairer map, and it gives us an actual almost fighting chance at finally getting some real representation in the state of Wisconsin after a decade and a half.
And thank you for saying that, because I was just going to ask you about the fairness of the new maps and whether it gives advantage to one group or the other. But who will be primarily affected by the changes in the maps?
Yeah, so I'm going to share my screen so folks can see where they can find their map, and then we can look at the map in real time. So we can cross-compare the maps from 2022 and the maps from 2024. So as you can see, this is the legislative website, and it's legis.wisconsin.gov. And you can find the map by clicking at the bottom right hand of the corner. There's a little kind of map and a little, can't think of the name, like a little loop. And so these are what we're looking at right now is, let me bring this back. we're looking at the 2022 Assembly District maps. So I'm going to put SOC's address in here, which I think is 3300 South Layton Avenue, Boulevard, Layton Boulevard. And it'll zoom me in to that address. So it'll show you who the legislators who represent the district are, senators, representatives. But what we want to see is if these maps changed at all. So, okay, so we're right here. And these are the 2022 maps, and these are the 2024 Assembly District maps. So as you can see, where SOC's offices hasn't changed, but if we zoom out a little, that's where we can kind of see the boundaries a little better. And we can see that the most affected areas are primarily populations where they have fluctuation in migration over the last 10 years, which includes sort of Northeast and Northwest Wisconsin. And here I'm going to do it one more time. So these are the 22 maps in purple. So I'm going to see if I could zoom in a little more to get some more. So these will be what the maps in 2022 looked like. And then if we take that off and we put 2024, you can see that some of the areas that changed the most were like these areas here, sort of in Green Bay. The orange, again, is the 2024, and the purple is the 2022. So these changed quite a bit. You can scroll down a little, and we can focus in Milwaukee, but as you can see, thankfully, we have fought to make sure that districts of people of color remain the same, to make sure that we have some contiguity and some community of interest support. So they didn't change much. And so, you know, if you want to have fun with the map and kind of see your new how your new maps will be affected, this is a great resource. Again, it's the legis.wisconsin.gov. And if you click search, it'll take you straight to your to where you're located, and you can find your address up here, and you can also find the legislators that represent your district. And something cool about this is that you can see the legislators that represented you in 2022, and you can also see the legislators that will represent you in 2024 in case there's any confusion about who you need to contact, in case you want to contact them or how you want to reach out to them. So that's kind of how you use the website, and it's really interactive. And from my understanding, it is going to be up to date for when people, I'm going to stop my share now, for when people check their voting status or their registration status on the myvote.we.gov website.
So the new maps are active right now?
They will be in effect after this election. But the goal will always be that voters aren't confused between the August and the November election. But for this April election, people shouldn't be so concerned. It's just important to know and important for us to talk about it so early on so folks are prepared.
And your recommendation is for people to go to My Vote and check where they're registered to vote and what their location is and so forth?
Yeah, so that is the website that we use to check people's registration status, to check what's on their ballot. It's myvote.we.gov, and it's available in Spanish as well, so folks can definitely find their polling place. They can see what's on their ballot. They can even register to vote. They can vote absentee by mail, although because it's already so close it's already election day and it's already too close at all, we encourage people to go to the polls and remind folks that they have time off from work legally that they can use to go and vote today.
Okay. And do you think that from now to November, we'll be back here explaining the maps and the situation with all the changes, just to make sure?
I'm sure we will, and I will gladly accept any invitation that I get to talk about fair maps.
Thank you, Yuselis, and thank you for being part of our Vote-a-thon and just to give us this information. Thank you.
Yeah, and if folks have any questions, they can always go to fairmapswe.com, and they can contact me through there directly. All inquiries go to me. And if you need more assistance in helping more people find their maps or understand the website a little better, please, I'm more than welcome to support that. So thank you.
Thank you. And for everyone, this information will be posted in our comments.
Hi, it's me, Claudia. I just wanted to say that the reason that I vote is so that I have a voice in what is going on in our state, city, county, government.
Hi, my name is Mr. Moody. I live in Burnham Park, and I'm 44 years old and extremely excited about voting. Voting is important to me because in order for things to change in my neighborhood and things for the better for my family, I must let my voice be heard. So it's very important that we all go out and vote so that we can seek the change that we want to actually implement in our neighborhoods.
Hi, I'm Drea. I'm from the near south side around the historic Mitchell Street area. Voting is important to me because I know my vote is my voice. And if I want my children and my family and my neighbors to thrive, it's important that I vote in every single election, especially the primaries, especially the local ones. It's the only way to guarantee you're going to have clear communication and consistency with their representatives. And if we want anything to change, if we want more peace in Milwaukee, it is vital that we vote. Thank you so much.
The reason why voting is important to me is because voting is the foundation of our democracy. We can't expect change if we don't get out there and vote.
Hi, I'm KT, and the reason why I vote is because, one, I have a voice and my voice matters, and I think we have a duty as citizens to go out there and vote, and so we can help bring about change to our communities and better the lives for all.
Thank you to all our neighbors that recorded a Why We Vote campaign to inspire you all to participate today. Thank you to the youth team and to the staff team. And we have a little more to share with you in a bit of the Why We Vote campaign. Folks, we cannot see who's with us. We can see the number of people who are with us, but we can't see you unless you drop a line and say hello. So shout out to Drea, who you saw just now on the Why We Vote video, neighbor on the South Side, former staff of SOC, and the executive director of the Peace Learning Center. So shout out to the Peace Learning Center for the great work that they do. And Carmen Ortiz says hello. She is in DC right now, covering SOC's attendance there for the Just Economy Conference of the NCRC. We'll be sharing information with neighbors about that as well. Shout out to our founding and current staff alumni chair, Clarissa Morales, who is here with us too. So drop in a line so we can say hello. If you voted early, let us know you voted early. If you voted today, do you remember the number that you were at your polling place? Share that as well. Hola, mi gente, and I'm glad that you're with us. All right, folks, stay tuned. We have just a little bit more on this segment, and I want to remind you to be ready to fill out our survey to let us know what's going well, what's the information that's useful, what we could change. And then as soon as we get 10 surveys in, we can do a door prize for a $25 gift card cash. So let's not pass up on that opportunity. Now I'd like to direct you to our next topic of discussion. The referendums that are out today are not easily understood. So again, I'm going to say challenge to our legislators and the technical staff who have to put that together, and the lawyers who I'm sure they consulted, is The constituents deserve more, and they deserve more simpler and clearer language to really understand what they're voting on. And we can do better, much better than what happened right now. To that, we are getting some help for you to understand what the referendums are. So I'd like to introduce a continued partner with us, Nick Ramos, who's the Executive Director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign.
We have Nick Ramos with us today. I'm going to let Nick introduce himself and tell us where he's from and what he's doing, and then get into a few of the questions that we have regarding the two constitutional questions being asked in the April 2nd election. Hi, Nick.
Hey, Carmen. Thank you so much for having me on the Vote-a-thon. And yeah, I am the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Born and raised in Cleveland, but I am coming to you live from Madison, Wisconsin. The Democracy Campaign here in Wisconsin is dedicated to being a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization tracking the money in politics, fighting for pro-democracy legislation and initiatives, and really advocating for a government that fights for the people and represents all of the people and not just narrow interests. And so very excited to be here with you today.
And Nick, my understanding is that you're not new to the Vote-a-thon. You've been part of this event before, working through some prior Vote-a-thons for the Southside Organizing Center, right?
Yeah, I am a proud veteran of the SOC Vote-a-thon. Previously, I got to enjoy being a part of it through my time at Vote Riders, and now I get the privilege as the new executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign to get to join the wonderful work that you and the team over at the Southside Organizing Center. I get to join the fun and adventure for another election day, and so I'm just thrilled to even get the invite for another election cycle.
Thank you, Nick. And going to the first question of the referendum, but could you talk to us about the purpose of that question? Why is that question being asked in this particular referendum, in this particular election? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think after COVID, we saw a lot of questions being asked as far as how we fund our elections here, not only in Wisconsin, but across the country. And so folks in the legislature and a variety of special interests, they thought that it was important to try and make sure that our local municipalities did not have the ability to be able to seek private grants to fund the elections and do election administration work. And so voters on April 2nd have the opportunity to either choose to allow our election officials at the local level to continue to seek private grants for election administration, or to be able to discontinue that practice. And I know it's one of those hypersensitive questions, at least within the voting rights space. And I can just say that for us in the nonpartisan realm that do a lot of really good work in voting rights, I can just say that we've witnessed a lot of election officials that have a lot of great need at the local level, and to strip individuals away, to get rid of that ability to be able to get private funds when there's not really another way for them to get money to run their elections. I think that's a real shame. It is a big deal for us to amend the Constitution in Wisconsin, and so everyone should make sure before they pick yes or no to do their homework at the end of the day.
Okay. And the funding that is obtained from private sources, can you tell us what is that funding usually used for?
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we have to definitely demystify is the fact that uh, it's not used to sway elections or do any, crazy behind the scenes, behind the curtain things. It's to do what we would say the unsexy things. It's to pay for everyday folks to be able to actually staff our elections during the thick of just election day. It's to pay for equipment, it's to pay for postage, it's for PPE equipment, it's all the little things that we're not thinking about to run in an election to make sure it's a well-oiled machine. And so it's everything that I get an opportunity in this role as the executive director of the Democracy Campaign to talk with clerks, to talk with executive directors of elections commissions, and they're in bad shape as far as where the resources are, and they desperately need these funds. And so I think it's a real travesty if we take away this tool in the tool belt for them.
Some of us know there's already a definition of what election workers are. So what do you think, or can you explain to us, what is this question in the referendum trying to accomplish?
That's a great question. And I think Wisconsin is going into very uncharted territory with this particular constitutional amendment because from my research and studies, it's pretty much the first of its kind. Because as you correctly stated, we have very clear laws as far as who are election officials. And so one could argue and say, why are we even going to the ballots and having a constitutional amendment about this thing? If it's already clear in state statute, then why are we then going and then going to enshrine this in the Constitution? And I think if I were to speculate a little bit here, I think the framers or the architects of this thing, they wanted to try and intimidate folks that are in the voting rights space, that assist election officials with the kind of intricate things that might fall close to election administration and perhaps push those people out of the election spaces. And I think, again, when we're thinking even about question one, about the very underserved and under-resourced election offices across Wisconsin, I think if you're not going to present real solutions to these folks at the local level, and then you're going to push away groups like the Democracy Campaign, the League of Women Voters, the Southside Organizing Center, you're going to push away groups that have been for years assisting at the local level, these very underserved communities, then by God, I think we're going to see voting it's going to become much harder in a state like Wisconsin, where we pride ourselves on high voter turnout. We pride ourselves in being very efficient with it, even though it's one of those things that time and time again, I hear people constantly talk about they wish they had better equipment, more people, better resources at their disposal. And I just don't want there to be a situation where, there is a doomsday scenario, chaos. We want to make sure that people have everything they need to run our elections as efficiently as possible. And I think that these two constitutional amendments that are on the ballot, they're written so well that I think anybody that could look at these, I don't think they'd look at them and say, well, I don't see why not. I would vote. I mean, I don't see why I would vote no for these things. They seem not controversial at all, but there's some extreme ripple effects that will run rampant for our elections if we vote yes for these things. And so I think people should take some time to really become educated on both of them.
And Nick, if somebody wants to follow up and take a look at your position and your organization, can you repeat the name of the group and where they should go to obtain that information?
Absolutely. So my organization is Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And you got to access the internet. You can literally go to www.wisdc.org. And I just posted a commentary on there. It breaks down just question 1 and question 2 and the significance of constitutional amendments. So you can get schooled on just some of the background and some of my thoughts on it. But I would love for you to just take a look, check out the website. We've been around for 29 years and appreciate you just listening, and go vote.
Thank you, Nick.
April 2nd is the general election. We get to use our power to choose our leaders right here in the city. You must understand that your vote really counts. You have to know that you truly have power. How do you know you don't have power if you never use it? We have to make sure that we get out on April 2nd and we vote for people who are going to look out for our interests. That's important because we have to live here. We ought to be responsible for those who have to lead. Go out and vote April 2nd.
Thank you, Reverend Lewis. Thank you, Nick Ramos. And I just want to echo some things on the referendum and add some information. Sometimes we get referendums that ask our opinions about something that are not made into law. Those are called non-binding referendums. They're just taking our temperature about things. Other times, referendums, the vote actually becomes legislation, and that's what we're dealing with here during the spring primary. And another regaño to our state, another scolding and admonition to our state, to add to what I said earlier about simplifying the languages. Surely amending the Constitution warrants more education about those actions than what took place for this election. And so you should urge your elected officials that if they're putting on a ballot something as critical as a binding, meaning it becomes law, referendum, that they put in the sufficient energy, finance, resource, education that it takes to help all of us understand the decisions we have to make more than what they did this time. All right, folks, let's be encouraged today that we are going to vote, that we're going to continue to be engaged with our vote all year round, not just when we elect officials, but we hold them accountable and stay in relationship with them between votes. And that we invite you here at SOC to engage with us. We do grassroots social justice organizing. We do neighborhood organizing. We do civic engagement, what we're doing here, nonpartisan. That means we don't back any candidates or parties in particular, but we're here for you to make sure that you understand and you can vote, and to work with you and for you. We do leadership development and we do community development. And so I'm going to show you a video now on some opportunities that are coming up that we'd like you to be involved with.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Carlos and I'm an organizer here at the Southside Organizing Center. Just hopping on to let everybody know that we will be kicking off our cleanup season with 2 cleanups on Saturday, April 20th, starting at 9 a.m. We will have 2 locations that you can pick from to help us come clean the neighborhood. The first location will be on 6th and Rogers, and the second location will be on 18th and Grant. We will have a dumpster there. We will have all the supplies in collaboration with Keep Greater Milwaukee Beautiful. They give us all the supplies, pickers, bags, buckets. All you need to do is just come on out and help us clean up. The one on April 20th will start at 9 a.m. And then on Monday, which is Earth Day, we will be having a cleanup starting at 4 p.m. on 11th and Mitchell in collaboration with Your Move Milwaukee. Also on May 4th, which is a Saturday, we will be having a cleanup here outside of the SOC office, and that will be on the Layton Boulevard.
and that will start at 9 a.m. Once again, Saturday, May 4th, starting at 9 a.m. We will have a cleanup there and a little celebration. Also, I'm happy to announce that we will be having our Garden Fest with Bloom and Grooms, which is a low-cost plant sale that we will be having for our neighbors in Walker Square Park. That'll be Saturday, May 25th, starting at 9 a.m. And we ask you to come out, join all of our collaborators who will be out there giving us good information regarding gardening, beekeeping, clean, healthy eating. We'll be having recipes of what to do once you plant your garden and you have all your vegetables and herbs coming out. Thank you once again and have a great day.
Happening right now. The polls are open today from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. and should take around 15 minutes to vote.
We want to remind you that, like Jonathan Zuniga said, you have rights. If you're in line by 8 p.m., they must allow you to vote. If you have problems voting, please call the SOC office or call the ACLU hotline for English speakers and for Spanish speakers.
For more detailed information, please check the link below. Here you can find voter information, including your specific voter info.
Register day of with all the proper identification, which includes your polling place is important because the recent census changed some of our districts, which resulted in some of our voting polls, location changes, and some sample ballots. Plus more info.
Remember, it is important for you to stay connected to your vote all year round by holding your elected officials accountable for their promises and roles.
And just a quick reminder from our SOC youth,
your vote, your voice.
I never get tired of watching the youth and the work that they do with us. I'm so inspired by them and so proud of them. We, speaking of the youth, you don't want to miss our 6 p.m. segment, which is the last segment of the day, because it's a youth takeover. And so they'll be moderating in my place. They do an incredible job, and you don't want to miss it. Folks, we have a couple more videos, and then we want to say see you in a little bit at 6 p.m. And as always, we'd like you to be in relationship with us, and you can reach us at 414-672-8090 or on any of our social media platforms. Gracias, and have a peaceful evening.
Hello, Milwaukee. We invite you to come partner with us on all of our SOC promotions, including our post-pandemic survey, to determine our priorities for the next couple of years.
We'd like to partner with you and continue partnering with you to help make your neighborhood dreams come true and address all your top concerns.
SOC was started by leaders just like you who want to make sure the South Side was safe, livable, and economically vibrant.
Please fill out the post-pandemic neighbor survey for an entry to win our $50 gift card raffle. The link will be in the comment section. Link or scan the QR code.
And we hope to hear from you all.
As we close out this segment of the Vote-a-thon, we hope to encourage you in your action on 2 things today. The first is ensuring your vote is powerful all year round, and the second is to join with SOC in the work we do with all the community.
Engage with democracy and voice your opinions on our Vote-a-thon. Fill out the survey for another entry in the $50 gift card drawing.
Please share feedback via our forum surveys to help shape our future forums.
The link will be shared in the comment section below. Let your voice be heard and make an impact today.
Get involved today. Democracy matters.
Remember, if you fill out both the post-pandemic survey and the Vote-a-thon survey, you will have 2 entryways into winning a $50 Visa gift card.